In this video, I'd like to give you guys some tips and tricks in terms of finding sources for your essay and how to make that process go more efficiently. So if you're somebody who spends a long time trying to find sources for your essay, this video is for you. Okay, so first off, I want to encourage you guys to use the library databases to find your information. As we already discussed when we were doing the evaluating web sources, when we're just going out to Google, we're going to have to do a lot of what we call vetting of the information to decide whether or not the information being offered to us through Google is in fact credible or trustworthy. And so if we go into the library databases, somebody's already done that work for you. So you can assume that everything that you find in these databases is trustworthy, that is worthy of your consideration to use in your essay. So we're going to go to Palomar College's homepage, and we're going to go to the library up at the top. And when you click on library, you will see that we have some, sometimes this gets a little bit confusing for people. Scroll down, and what you're looking for is databases. Don't jump in right here, because this is going to give you information or resources that are actually physical resources in the library itself. So we want to probably just look at the database sources. So we're going to go to just databases. And then when you click here, another mistake people make is they put their search term right in here. So let's say I'm doing an essay on minimum wage, and they hit go, and then I'll get an email from somebody saying, hey, I couldn't find anything on minimum wage in the databases. And the reason why that comes back as 0 is because when you put your search term in here, it's looking for a database called minimum wage, and that's not what you want to do. So this is the different databases that are available. And let me just go back here really quickly. We have 93 different databases at the college. We subscribe to 93 different databases. And so don't put your search term in here. What you want to do is look through the different databases. The most common database people use is Academic Search Complete. So this very first one, but I highly encourage you guys just to scroll through here and take a look at other databases that the college subscribes to, and you might see that there's something that is especially pertinent to you. So let's say this is one right here. The CQ Researcher is one that I recommend for a lot of topics, especially controversial topics dealing with contemporary issues. If you're scrolling through here, there's just a brief little summary of what the database kind of collects, and so CQ Researcher is a really good one. Some people, there's another database called Gender Watch, and if we scroll on here, we'll see Gender Watch. So people who are doing different topics relating to gender, this is another really good database. So I encourage you guys just to spend a little time, kind of scroll through here, see what are the different databases that we have access to, and select one of those databases to do your research. For this demonstration, though, I'm just going to search the Academic Search Complete. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that database. And when we click on that database, I've already logged in, so I didn't get a little pop-up screen asking for my eServices username and password, but that's what you're going to need to enter in order to get access to this database. The databases are subscription, so you have to have a subscription in order to see the information that's collected in the database, and you all have paid for your subscription through your student services fee. So EBSCO, in this case, as EBSCOhost, needs to verify that you have paid for access to this database, and just using your SURF username and password will give you that access. Okay, so after you've logged in with your username and password, then we're going to go ahead and put in your search terms. And I'm just going to keep doing my minimum wage topic. And what I want you guys to do is, as you're typing in, always pay attention to what is the database is anticipating here, because that's going to help us to really understand how the database is categorizing information. And so the language that shows up here is actually the language that the database is using to tag the information that then will come back in the search results. So as I'm typing minimum wage, I'm going to always be paying attention. Did you guys see how everything changed here as I went further on? And sometimes this helps us really kind of focus our topic. So maybe you really want to look at minimum wage and poverty. And if you just quickly typed in minimum wage, you kind of miss the opportunity to really focus your topic a little bit more, or if you want to look at the increase in the effects or the cons or whatever it might be. And so I highly encourage you guys to kind of always look at what the database is anticipating that you might be searching for, because this is part of using those what we call subject terms that the database is using to categorize information. Just for our demonstration though, I'm going to do what most people do, which is they just hit that first the topic. And what ends up happening is you're going to see we get the search results here. We've got over 7,000 hits, and we're not going to search through 7,000 different hits. That's a kind of a ridiculous number. A good number to get to is about 30. I think that's probably about the max. And so we want to refine this number. That's just way too much information. So let's talk about how we're going to refine that. First off, I'm going to highly recommend that you guys hit this full text. So that way, I'm guessing that you guys want to see the information immediately rather than having to contact a librarian to find the resource for you. And if you find a source that does not have full text, the librarians can get it for you, but usually it takes a few days, and so most of us want to see that information right away. So we're going to go ahead and limit that to full text. You'll see that dropped it quite a bit, almost by half. So we have a much better number working there. And then as we move down, you can choose the different source types. I usually just leave all results on. The big item that I really want you guys to focus on is this subject thesaurus term. This is absolutely crucial to kind of figure out how the database is indexing different articles against which terms. So sometimes when people aren't finding anything or they're finding very few results, by seeing this, we realize that they are looking for using different language than what the database is using. So I always recommend that you guys click on that link there for the thesaurus term, and don't just stop here. Always go to the show more, and then we're going to get a little pop-up box. And now this gives us a lot of information. When we click on that pop-up box, we see the kind of hit count of those. What did we have? 39. Or what was the number there? 36,000 sources, almost 3,700 sources. 174 of those are talking about labor laws, or 122 are talking about employment or legislation. And so this helps us kind of refine our topic a little bit more. Here's another tip for you guys. Sometimes when you do this thesaurus term, it gives you ideas for different topic sentences. So you might go through this and realize, oh man, I could have a bunch of different topic sentences here. I could have one on poverty. I could have one on the actual market. I could have one on maybe a living wage movement. So it actually gives you ideas of your different topic sentence concepts that you can use. So for people who have a hard time trying to figure out how they're going to focus their essay in different paragraphs, this can help you figure out the content or the focus for each one of your paragraphs. Okay, so once we click on one of these things then, so let's say we are interested in poverty and we click on that, we're going to get 91 hits. So I'm going to go ahead and update that. Now 91 is still a pretty big number to me. Maybe not to you. Maybe you're happy to look through 91 hits, but for me, that's still too big of a number, and I want to refine that a little bit more. So I'm actually going to do that same process again, and now the database will give me even kind of further refinement of those 91 hits into something like, well, maybe I want to look at income distribution, and I have 13, and I could actually look at 13 different articles. Or maybe I'm really interested in cost of living, and so I can update that, and now I have 4 sources, and looking at 4 sources is going to be pretty manageable. So that's my big tip for you guys, is always to go into that, I'm going to just go back here, always go into that subject thesaurus term and make sure you're kind of using that to help refine your searches, so that you're not just endlessly scrolling and reading the kind of just the headline there. That's not really giving you that much information. Okay, so I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. Oh, just really briefly, in this particular database, they do a really good thing by telling you what type of source it is. So you're going to see this little icon on the left side here. So this is telling you it's an academic journal. So remember, those are going to be kind of more they're written for journals, academic journals, so written by professors or experts in the field, usually for other experts in the field. And so they're usually kind of really good, detailed, strong information. usually considered kind of the gold standard of source material when we think about credibility. So the academic journal, if you find academic journals, those are always really good sources. Sometimes you'll see this this icon here for a periodical. So that's going to be anything, a periodical, just really briefly, is anything that's published periodically. So that could be a newspaper, it could be a magazine, so it could be a blog post. So anything that's on some sort of regular schedule of getting published is what a periodical is. And so those are usually written for a more general audience. And so sometimes they're very helpful. Sometimes they don't give you as kind of the kind of higher credibility as you're going to get from an academic journal. So I always just kind of be aware of that, be aware of the types of sources that you're choosing. For your essay, it's good to have a mix of academic journals and periodicals. So keep that in mind. And just another really quick thing I want to show you guys, now that I'm thinking about it, is when you click on an actual article, here's where you're going to get your full text. And then also, if you look on the side here, there's going to be this cite button, and this is going to be a time saver for some people. So go ahead and click on the cite button, and you're going to notice what ends up happening is it gives you some choices here of what format do you need to cite in. Remember when we were talking about citations, we use MLA in our class, but some classes might require you to use APA, or some might require you to use Chicago. So this actually will give you the different citation according to whatever discipline that you're writing into. So we're just going to scroll down here and look for MLA, and there we have our citation. So you could go ahead and copy and paste that. At this point, most of the databases have updated their citations to MLA 8. So you might see some databases might say MLA 7 or MLA 8. You always want to choose MLA 8. This is already in MLA 8. And you're going to notice here that the end of the citation is always the URL. In MLA 7, we didn't put URL, so that's just a quick way that you can tell the difference between 7 and 8. Okay, I hope that this video helps you guys out and makes your searching a little bit more efficient. And if you have any questions, just let me know. We'll talk soon.